So, the costs and taxes when renting a property out short-term or for vacational purposes in Spain. And the harsh reality is that you cannot. How do you calculate the tax you need to pay? You also have a higher tax bracket. This is the biggest difference for you guys, 24%. You're gonna want to stay until the end. Are you guys ready? Let's go. Right guys, welcome back to the High Homes YouTube channel and welcome back to another edition of a whiteboard explainer. This video has been, planned out because one of our audience members, one of you guys commented on the video, can you please produce a comprehensive breakdown of how this works? So here we are making a video for our core audience, for you guys. Today we're gonna be talking about costs and taxes for Airbnb properties in Spain. So let's get started with the cost, right? So before we get into taxes, it's important to understand the cost that you'll be paying when you rent a property out on Airbnb or any of the platforms. And the first one is exactly that, the platform fees. So the platform fees are what you pay these platforms. The main ones in Spain are Booking.com, Airbnb, VRBO, and then you've got some other smaller platforms, but those are the main ones. If you advertise on Airbnb and Booking or VRBO, your property will have the right exposure in order to get the right tenants and the right rentals. So how much do these big platforms charge? It depends. Some charge 16, others charge 17, but on average, anywhere between 15 to 16%. That's pretty normal, okay? That's the range. And normally what tends to happen, depending on who you work with, is you will establish your base rates on these platforms and the platforms will add it on top of your base rates, right? After that, you'll have your agency fees. Now, this is not really applicable to everyone because some people rent the properties out by themselves without any sort of agency or without any sort of property management service. Where we are based, so in the south of Spain, in Andalusia, in Malaga, there's a range of companies that offer property management and rental services, and they'll charge you based on your income. And these rates depend on, the kind of property, the income, the amount of revenue in the year, but they can range anywhere from 15 to 30%, right? So this is the range, 15 to 30%. It's normally the case that the more expensive rates are for the cheaper properties and the cheaper rates are for the most expensive properties. And then it's down to the company themselves. Some companies within these rates, they will include the cleaning, they will include the laundry fees, and some will not. So it's gonna be down to you guys to understand, what's included and what's not including. But for example, if you're based in Spain and you're a resident in Spain, you could rent it out without an agency or with an agency. Anyway, you get the gist. 15 to 30%, that's what you need to calculate. That brings us on to our next cost, which is the operational cost of the property that's going to be rented out. And those operational costs are the costs of operating the Airbnb unit. Those are mainly maintenance, right? Small repairs that have to happen during the stay of the tenants, things that might break. It's always important to account for certain maintenance amounts. Things can go wrong. The other one is cleaning. A cleaning fee is one of the operational costs to make sure the Airbnb is always ready for the next tenant. And the other one is the laundry fee. So the laundry cost of changing all the laundry in the property. Now, it's true that some or most people, for example, on Airbnb, add the cleaning fee on top of the base rates, but nevertheless, that payment needs to be made and therefore it's a cost. The same thing goes for laundry. Some Airbnb units add all these fees on top. You guys know what I mean. You can mostly check out these listings on Airbnb and people price things differently. Some people put everything included or people sort of charge extra during the stay for additional services. But essentially for you, it's a cost which is going to go out. You're going to be receiving the money from the tenant and then you're going to have to be paying those costs. So it's an operational cost, right? And the next thing is the running costs of the property. And the running costs of the property are quite varied. We're going to jump into that right now. They look like this, right? So these are the running costs of any property in Spain. We start with IBI and the council tax. This is a municipal tax that you pay to your town hall. It's your property council tax. It's normally paid yearly and it depends on the value of the property, depends on the cadastral value of the property and other things, all right? Then you have the basura, which is rubbish tax, which is another municipal tax you pay to the town hall for your rubbish. And I'll give you a few examples. For a IBI council tax, it depends on the size of the property. If we're looking at an Airbnb apartment, it also depends on the municipality. But a normal apartment, like myself, I've got an Airbnb property in Marbella, in the municipality of Marbella, in the area of Elvidia. And my apartment, which is a beautiful property, they charge us around 1,200 euros per year for IBI tax. So again, depends where you are, but let's say it could be plus minus 1,500 euros per year. Again, some apartments in Mijas would be 600 euros a year. So it's a big range, okay? Let's say 600, just give you a range here, 600 to 1,500 euros per month. If you have a larger villa, it could be 2.5 grand, 3 grand a month. You get the gist. Rubbish tax is quite low. This is around the 200 euros per year, okay? These are yearly figures, okay? Then we have community fees. Depends if your property is in a community or it's not in a community. If it is in a community, it depends on the amenities. You can pay community fees from 60 euros a month all the way up to sort of resort level amenity complexes where you pay 200, 250 euros a month, which is my case in Elvidia. Let's just say 200 euros a month, which is quite realistic if you have a pool and a garden and some nice amenities, okay? Then you have water bills, electricity bills, and internet bills. Those are your utility. It depends on consumption, so I'll leave those in blank, but those are, let's say, running costs of the property. Normally, you have to account for high electricity bills in the high season when your tenant's using electricity for the AC and so on. And internet's kind of cheap in Spain. We pay around 25 euros a month, okay? I'm gonna show you guys in a moment an Excel sheet that shows you, the breakdown of all the costs, and I'm gonna be linking that Excel sheet in the description, but let's talk about that a bit later. What else do you have? Well, other running costs of the property are house insurance. House insurance in Spain is pretty, not that expensive. For a normal apartment, you'll be paying 400 euros a year, 500 euros a year. For bigger houses, maybe 1,500 to 2,000 euros a year if you have a larger villa. Next up, we have the mortgage. This says mortgage interest, but this means this is mortgage repayments if you have a mortgage, so that depends on yourself. And then your alarm system. If you have, for example, Securitas Direct, which is the one that's mostly used in Andalusia, they charge around 45, 50 euros a month for the alarm to be connected to their sort of central station that's always connected. So if you press, someone breaks in, they'll just call you directly and let you know. So that's around 50 euros a month. Right, so that's the running costs. So we've talked about the operational costs, we've talked about the running costs of the property. Now let's talk about taxes. Taxes for Airbnb properties, and let's just call it short-term rent properties in Spain, depends who you are and where you live. So if you're a resident or you're a non-resident, it changes. And on this video, I want to sort of concentrate on the non-resident aspect of taxes. There's two types. If you're a non-resident, you are either a EU non-resident or you're a non-European non-resident, okay? So if you're in the EU, you have a flat rate of 19%, right? And you can deduct certain expenses. So you can deduct expenses, okay? Which is something we're gonna be talking about in a moment. It's a formula which I'm gonna sort of talk about in the following slides. But 19%, it's a flat rate. It's a flat rate for EU non-residents, okay? How about non-EU residents? Well, in your case, for Americans, UK, anywhere else in the world that you're non-EU, you're not gonna be able to deduct expenses. This is the biggest difference for you guys. And here, you also have a higher tax bracket. It's 24%. And the harsh reality is that you cannot deduct expenses. Okay, my terrible handwriting. So for those of you which are non-EU, that's the reality right now, but we're filming this video in December, early December 2025, and a few months ago, we received the following news, which is from Spain's National Court. They ruled that non-EU property owners renting out their home should be allowed to deduct expenses because taxing them 24% on their full income they found was unfair. The case is now moved up to the Spanish Supreme Court, which will decide whether this new fairer interpretation becomes the rule for everyone. Most experts expect the Supreme Court to confirm the change, opening the door for non-EU owners to deduct costs and even claim refunds from past years. So that's what's going on at the moment in Spain. If you come to market in December 2025 and you buy a Airbnb property, that's the reality right now. But in a sort of close future, it's expected that it will be changed for it to be fairer, so you can deduct costs and hopefully, we don't know, maybe pay less tax. That's to be confirmed, but the deduction of costs is something that most probably is in the horizon for you non-EU. So that's a pretty easy thing to calculate. If you have 50,000 euros a year income, you're going to be paying 24% flat, and you're not going to be able to deduct anything. So there's no real formula to explain to you guys, but there is a formula to explain how taxes work for non-residents that are from the EU. And that's what we're going to get into right now. So how do you calculate the tax you need to pay? We have a whole calculator, which we're going to look at in a moment, and there you will understand it and see the bigger picture. But the way it works is quite straightforward for EU non-residents, and it's the following. There's a number of costs which are acceptable to the tax authorities, and they will accept as a deductible cost, but they won't be able to deduct the full amount. So, for example, if you have a community fee of 1,000 euros per year, you can't deduct the full amount of the community of the year. You can only deduct the proportional amount in relation to the days the property is being rented. Whoa, okay, that sounds a bit complicated, but it's pretty straightforward. Let me give you an example on one cost, which is going to be the community fee. For example, if you have a community fee of 1,000 euros per year, I'm just giving you an easy example. So your property pays 1,000 euros a year on community fees. What you do is you take that 1,000 euros, you divide it by 365 days, and it gives you a day rate, okay? So the day rate is 2.73 euros per day, right? And then you need to calculate the amount of days the property is being rented out. So if you've rented your property out for 155 days, that means that you times this by 155, and that gives you a deductible amount, so times by 155 days. If that's the case, this needs to be confirmed by you guys. That means that you have 424 euros that you can deduct, right? And that's how it works. So what you do is you add all your costs up and you do a proportional amount based on the days the property is being rented out. I've made a really cool Excel Google sheet, which I'm going to show you guys in a moment, that explains this super clearly. And let me walk you through that, because we're going to be linking this calculator in the description of this video, so you guys can press that link, make your own copy and put your own details in there and simulate your own tax bill, which is really, really useful. I hope that's useful for you guys. Right, so this is our High Homes Spanish rental income tax calculator for EU non-residents. It's going to be in the description of this video, so you just need to go in. There's some instructions in the bottom corner, so you're able to make a copy and then put your own numbers in it, right? And this is what it looks like. So you guys need to basically edit the blue text, and everything else has formulas and auto calculates. So first of all, we talk about the gross rental income, and then we input the amount of days the property is rented per year. Then we need to input the platform fee, so how much the platform will charge you for advertising the property. And then if you have an agency, obviously you input the agency fee. I mean, you might pay 10%, you might pay 15%, you might pay 30%, whatever it is, you'll just put it in there, okay? And this is where it becomes really interesting, right? This is where you input all the costs of the running costs of the property. So you have the IBI council tax, basura, rubbish tax, your community fees, your utilities, so you have water, electric, internet, your house insurance. You're also able to deduct part of your interest of your mortgage, and then the alarm system. So this is the yearly amount. Here it breaks it down to the daily amount, and here it multiplies the daily amount by the days rented per year. So, for example, if your IBI council tax is 1,200, your daily amount is 3.29 euros, you will times that by the days the property is rented out, and there you have the total deductible per cost. So you can deduct 600 euros in your IBI receipt. You can deduct 1,267 from your community fee, and so on. So this is fully editable, right? So how does this work? You create this formula, right? And once you've come up with the total amount, you get a total deductible amount where you're, in this case, 4,350, whatever it is, right? So that's a partially deductible cost. You can't deduct 100% of it, but you can deduct the proportional part depending on the days the property rented out. There are other costs where you can deduct the 100% of the cost. And those costs are the platform fees, the agency fees, and the laundry and the cleaning. Those are costs that you can deduct 100% of. So in this part of the Excel sheet here, we have the platform fees, we have the agency fees, and then the other deductible cost pulls from here, right? So this is the full amount you can deduct, this plus this plus this, right? So if we look at this, for example, if your total gross income is 45 grand and your total deductible cost is 22 grand, your taxable amount is this. And this is what you pay tax on. Not on this, not on this, on this, right? And on this, you pay a flat fee of 19%. In this case, 4,300 euros. So this is exactly how the formula works, and this Excel sheet is gonna be in the description, super useful for you guys to check it out. Right, so that tool is there. I hope you guys enjoy it. It's in the description. It's pretty straightforward. Follow the instructions and you'll be able to calculate your tax. And that brings me to the last slide, which is a thank you message. It's a thank you message to you guys, to our core audience, to our audience, which is always there, commenting, liking, and asking us questions. This video was done by demand of one of our comments. So to you out there, I hope we answered your questions. If you have any other questions, please feel free to comment those below. And if you found this video useful, please press that like button so we know we're doing the right sort of content for you guys. And it might be that some of you watching this are new to the High Homes YouTube channel. If you are new and you want to stay posted with everything regarding Spanish real estate, Spanish property, lifestyle, we have playlists of all sorts on the High Homes YouTube channel which might be of value to you. So don't be shy and press the subscribe button, subscribe to the High Homes YouTube channel. Thank you guys. Hasta luego.